Before the Imperium ever ruled the stars, the future was stolen. In the hidden gene vaults beneath Terra, the Emperor stood before 20 incubation chambers, their amber light reflecting across the steel walls. "Behold," the Emperor said quietly, his voice echoing through the chamber, "the generals who will end old night."
Behold, Saints, the generals who will end old night.
At his side, Malkador watched the silent forms. "And if destiny resists your design?" Malkador asked. The Emperor's gaze hardened. "Then destiny will be rewritten."
And if destiny resists your design, then destiny will be rewritten.
20 suns, engineered to conquer the galaxy, were taken from Terra and scattered across distant worlds. Alarms once screamed through the vaults, stasis fields shattered, pods vanished into the void. Malkador's voice cut through the chaos. "Lord Regent, the infants, they are being taken." The Emperor did not move for several seconds, eyes burning with a terrible understanding. This is no accident. Something has reached into humanity's future and struck at its heart. That single act created heroes, monsters, and the wars that followed. But if the Primarchs had never been scattered, the Imperium would not have been saved. The Emperor's voice fades in, cold and absolute. It would have been perfected. And perfection, Malkador whispers, is rarely merciful. It would have become something far more absolute. In canon Warhammer history, the Chaos Gods interfere with the Emperor's genetic project, scattering the infant Primarchs across the galaxy. Each Primarch grows up shaped by different cultures, struggles, and beliefs. These differences later define the legions and eventually help spark the Horus Heresy. Everything begins with separation. But in this timeline, the scattering never happens. The Emperor detects the warp breach early. The Primarch project remains secure beneath the Himalayan laboratories. All 20 sons grow to maturity on Terra, trained together, commanded together, shaped by a single vision. From this moment forward, individuality changes, and so does destiny. The first consequences are not military, they are psychological. Instead of growing as rivals shaped by distant worlds, the Primarchs grow as brothers raised under the Emperor's direct guidance. Competition still exists, but loyalty comes first. Horus never feels isolated. Lorgar never develops a forbidden religious obsession. Angron never suffers the rage that defined his life. Their personalities remain powerful, but moderated by constant proximity to one another. More importantly, they never learn how to exist without the Emperor. When the Great Crusade begins, the legions deploy with unmatched coordination. No rediscovery campaigns, no decades spent convincing lost Primarchs to join the Imperium. Instead, the Imperium expands at unprecedented speed. World after world falls into compliance, not through desperate warfare, but through overwhelming strategic unity. There are no divided command structures, no philosophical conflicts between Primarchs, no ideological fractures for chaos to exploit. The Imperium becomes efficient, almost perfectly so. This is where the canon future disappears entirely. Without scattered upbringings, the Primarchs never develop radically different beliefs about humanity's destiny. There is no resentment over leadership, no wounded pride waiting to be manipulated. The Horus Heresy never begins, not because chaos stops trying, but because it cannot find a fracture large enough to widen. The Emperor proceeds with the Webway Project uninterrupted. Warp travel slowly becomes less essential. Humanity's dependence on the warp begins to fade. And for the first time, chaos faces a future where humanity may eventually slip beyond its reach. But this timeline is not hopeful. It is controlled. Without the diversity of experiences that shaped them in canon, the Primarchs become extensions of a single ideology, the Emperor's. There is less rebellion, less debate, less unpredictability, and that makes the Imperium frighteningly stable. Entire cultures are reshaped rapidly to match imperial doctrine. Worlds that resist are not negotiated with, they are replaced. Humanity spreads across the galaxy unified, but increasingly uniform. 10,000 years later, the Imperium stands stronger than in canon history. The Emperor still lives, the Primarchs still command, humanity dominates most known systems. But the galaxy is quieter, not because suffering has ended, but because individuality has diminished. Chaos still exists, watching, waiting for the moment when a perfectly ordered empire begins to decay from within. Because even unity, taken too far, becomes fragile. History records this era not as the age of heroes, but as the age of perfect obedience. Because when the Primarchs were never scattered, humanity did not fracture. It aligned completely. And in Warhammer 40,000, absolute unity can be just as dangerous as total war. But even this timeline depends on one fragile condition. The Emperor must still remain alive to guide them, and if he had truly died at the height of the Great Crusade, the Imperium would not have united. It would have shattered overnight. That story comes next.